Okay, hi everyone, I'm MacKenzie, and today Ross, Jenn, and I are excited to introduce you to custom and lookalike audiences, how they're built, the role they play in advertising and marketing, current news and industry trends surrounding them, and finally, an example of these in action. So, what are they and how do they work? Well, to begin with, I think Hootsuite said it best. Think of it as a sophisticated audience matchmaker for marketers. Both custom audiences and lookalike audiences are effective ways to target advertisements and therefore improve the results of the performance of the ads, but each is unique in how they're deployed and who they target. I also want to add that while lookalike and custom audiences are available on a variety of platforms, we will be looking at them in this presentation using Facebook. Let's start by understanding what a custom audience is and how it is created. Custom audiences are used to reach and target audiences that are already familiar with or have a relationship with a business. This relationship gives marketers the ability to leverage the data they have already collected on these customers or prospects. They do this by using page likes, email addresses, phone numbers, website traffic, app activity, engagement, etc. In order to create the custom audience, a business will first need to decide on what data they want to pull from to upload to Facebook, whether it be the email addresses of people that have signed up for newsletters, website visitors, as long as Facebook pixels installed, app engagement through a service such as MailChimp, etc. Facebook then uses a process called hashing, which keeps specific customer data private while still allowing it to find matches with Facebook users. You can then choose to target people who have visited certain product pages or categories, downloaded the app, engaged with the company's social medias, and set the time frame to target individuals who were recent visitors or visited up to 6 months ago, or engaged with the business up to a year. Custom audiences are great for remarketing, marketing to repeat customers, and to grow the following. Following the creation of custom audiences came lookalike audiences. Lookalike audiences target people who have similar interests and demographics as their current customers. To do this, a business provides the data they want to create a lookalike audience with, also known as a source audience, which can then be, can also be a custom audience or current customer information. Facebook recommends at least 100 people in a customer group. A larger sample size with more data points provides the most accurate picture of your audience, which equates to a more efficient ad spend. A percentage of the audience size can be selected from 1 to 10% to target a population and countries chosen to target. Although 1% will produce less results, they will be the ones most closely matching the source. Facebook then analyzes the profiles and identifies parallel users based on similarities. The advantage of this is that it is proven to increase conversions. Businesses are targeting users who resemble existing clients, which is proven to increase conversions and lower CPA. Additionally, these tools allow a business to grow their reach by finding new customers that they otherwise would not have been able to find. One of the advantages that both custom audiences and lookalike audiences have is that they're able to harness the data that they have already collected from their customers. I'm now going to pass it on to Jenn, who will discuss the discrimination that is found in some of these practices and the current news of lookalike audiences.
Thanks, MacKenzie, for giving us an introduction to lookalike audiences. I'm Jenn, and I'm here to fill you in on the news and trends of this digital marketing technique. The next slide will show us a graph giving some indication of the popularity of this technique. The graph you're seeing shows the results from a study conducted by Montate in 2016, examining how marketers use data to facilitate marketing personalization. 131 marketers worldwide responded. As you can see, lookalike audiences rises to the top with 87% of respondents indicating that they use this data to generate lookalike audiences. Now let's take a look at lookalike in the news. Well, it's easy to see the advantages of lookalike audience strategies for companies interested in making the most of their advertising dollars. Issues of equity and discrimination have arisen, particularly for those ads that target groups to offer housing, employment, and credit opportunities based on age, gender, or zip code. In 2019, Facebook reached agreements with the National Fair Housing Alliance, the American Civil Liberties Union, the Communications Workers of America, and other private parties to settle civil rights litigation over alleged discrimination in employment, housing, and credit advertising on the social media platform. Addressing these issues, Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg said advertisers offering housing, employment, and credit opportunities will have a much smaller set of targeting categories to use their campaigns overall. Multicultural affinity targeting will continue to be unavailable for those ads. Additionally, any detailed targeting options describing or appearing to relate to protected classes will also be unavailable. This certainly puts some constraints on what may be done to produce lookalike audiences, but marketers still have much to work with, and new technologies broaden their horizons, as we'll see in the next several slides. Recent research on lookalike audience generation has focused on how to improve the accuracy of targeting and ways to make the process more efficient. In a 2018 study by Popov and Ikonilova, identified issues with potential biasing in lookalike audience generation based on the seed sample and examined ways to improve model performance. They propose a model that includes feedback to more accurately target audiences. On average, their method showed a 12% improvement in targeting as compared to baseline lookalike models. The next couple of slides will show patents for methods and techniques to improve lookalike advertising. This first one, methods and systems for near real-time audience expansion and ads targeting, is using a matrix to develop audience criteria. This method then reduces memory storage requirements and processing time for each received online event. The second patent came out just this year. It's a system and method for lookalike audience extension from sparse data. Essentially, this method simplifies the process of identification of lookalike audiences by using a set of elements such as a database for various audience attributes and a scoring mechanism to rank potential audiences. From here, we'll take a look at specific techniques and new platforms. AI and machine learning are related but slightly different, as we've learned throughout our program, and are being used to create greater efficiency in audience generation. There is a particular machine learning lookalike model. This lookalike modeling is a process that identifies people who look and act just like your target audience. This tool analyzes the seed audience, identifies some key characteristics, and find users who are similar to your target, much like the example I talked about earlier from the research. The next slide will provide a little snapshot of new platforms capitalizing on this opportunity to capture technologies and provide services to marketers. Drawing on advances in AI and machine learning, companies are finding new ways to provide customers with faster, more precise means of targeting audiences, often in real time. The themes of these technologies come through in the brand's description of their offerings. Helixa presents itself as being powered by sophisticated and ethically designed AI, delivering rich and nuanced insight into how audiences behave and what they care about. According to Criterio's website, their product is powered by machine learning and is a flexible customer targeting solution that delivers high match rates. It enables accurate targeting and re-engaging of a customer base with dynamic paid display ads across web, mobile browsers, and apps. Adobe entered the game with Marketo Engage, specifically the Marketo Content AI, which applies machine learning to content delivery processes. It selects the next piece of content of interest to a customer based on their previous choice and can, for example, tell you the top 10 most interesting pieces of for a particular audience. It does this in real time, something that no human could possibly be able to do in weeks or even months. In addition, it learns as the customer continues to engage, getting more and more information about their preferences. Versium Reach is a B2B, business-to-business audience creation marketing service, creating lookalike audiences generated based on previous client lists. LeadCrunch says it all with their tagline, intelligent B2B demand generation powered by AI. They emphasize the power of using this technology to outline and predict the best marketing targets. Now that you have a sense of the concept of lookalike audiences and innovations moving it forward, I'll pass it off to Ross, who will take you through real-world examples of how this works.
Thanks, Jennifer. The company we are focusing on for a case example of lookalike audiences is Espresso. They are a company that helps make digital ads across social media platforms, and they use lookalike audience capabilities offered through Facebook to see how manipulating the size of the audience affected the success rate of a campaign. They broke the groups up into 1%, 5%, and 10%, meaning each audience size was a percentage of the US population, 1% being the smallest, but also the most similar to the target population that matches the current audience that is already a part of Espresso. It is important to have a base set of customers for this technique because without any customers for Facebook to base these groups off of, it will be a crapshoot whether or not the campaign will have the desired effect. Each group was given $500 for the campaign with the end goal of lead generation and awareness. As we go to the next slide, we're going to talk about the campaign itself and how it was planned. This was a 14-day campaign in which they were able to track the click-through rate, cost per click, among other important metrics. The call to action of this ad was the download button, which gave areas to fill in name and email of potential customers for lead generation tracking purposes. The campaign budget was $35 per day for each of the 3 audience sizes. What this $35 per day was going to were bids. A bid represents what you're willing to pay to achieve the desired result from someone in your target audience. Espresso used automatic bidding, which gave Facebook the power in terms of manipulation of the cost per bid and uses the entire budget every day. Facebook offers other bid types, though, that they could have used. For example, target cost bidding will have a very consistent daily cost, but will not always use the full budget, and it is managed by Facebook. Bid cap bidding, which is an actively managed approach from the advertiser who is in charge of setting the price cap per bid for the ad and is responsible for adjusting that price in order to find the right group of customers. After the 2 weeks and the budgets were exhausted, it was time to see the differences in results between these groups. The results from their campaign were very interesting and really showed that bigger is not always better, as the cost per lead for the 1% was the cheapest. The lower cost per click and the higher number of clicks for the 1% illustrates the importance of having a strong database of existing customers for the lookalike audience to base off of. And despite being the smallest population size, 1% ended with the highest number of impressions. And if you look at the cost per lead, 1% again has the lowest with $375, followed by $416 and $636 for 5% and 10% respectively. Lookalike campaigns can be very effective for lead generation when using the right sample size and having a good current customer list to find new customers off of. The biggest takeaway from the case and a very important factor in successful lookalike audience campaigns is having a strong foundation of current customers, which will greatly increase the effectiveness of the campaign as a whole. We do have another example of this technique, which shows that regardless the size of the company, when used correctly, this technique can be very beneficial. This example is talking about the success of a company called Little Passports, a small business that's aim was to better educate children about geography and the world around them. Using lookalike audiences through Facebook, they were able to accurately target potential customers with a high chance of conversion. And the results for this small business were beyond what they expected. Within 6 months of starting a lookalike audience and other methods offered through Facebook, they saw their customer base triple. And with these techniques, their cost per acquisition has gone down 60% since starting the use of conversion tracking and lookalike audiences. So these 2 examples, you can see that when used correctly, lookalike audiences techniques can be very effective and produce strong results. And that wraps up our presentation. Thanks for listening.